Good evening to all our subscribers and all our viewers. I would like to give you a warm welcome to our second edition of Broken but Healed. We're going to open our interview today with a verse from the book of Joel, chapter 2, verse 25 to 27. And it says, "So I will restore to you the years that the swarming locust has eaten, the crawling locust, the chewing locust, the consuming locust, my great army which I send among you. You shall eat in plenty and be satisfied, and praise the name of the Lord your God, who has dealt wondrously with you, and my people shall never be put to shame." So here at Broken but Healed, we share testimonies that show God's restorative power. Even if we get lost, even if we make mistakes, even if the enemy comes and takes away certain things from us, the God that we serve is in the business of restoring. Today, I have a very special guest, and I would want you to, maybe I would give her this opportunity to introduce herself. Maybe good evening and welcome to Broken but Healed podcast.
First, thank you for inviting me here.
Yeah.
It's very good to be here. And I'm excited to share a little bit about myself.
Okay.
My name is Rirana.
Sorry, your name is just, if you say it louder for.
My name is Ray Rana.
Ray Rana.
Yeah.
Okay.
But people call me Ray.
Ray. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's easier.
Rana, is that an English surname?
Yeah, like in Portuguese would be Hairana.
Okay.
But in English it goes by Ray Rana.
Ray Rana. And what does it mean, Ray Rana?
It's just a makeup name. So my parents put two names together, and that's my name.
Oh, okay. Nice to meet you, Ray Rana, and welcome to Broken but Healed podcast. Maybe, Ray, I'll ask you a few questions, whatever that you're comfortable in sharing with us here today. Can you please let me know, where were you born, and tell me a bit about your family, how many you are in the family, and what's your position in your family?
So I am Brazilian, so I born in Brazil, and I have two older sisters. So we come from three girls.
Oh, three girls in the family.
And I am the youngest one.
Oh, you're the baby
Yeah.
of the family. Okay.
I am the youngest one.
All right.
I am now 29 years old.
Oh, you're 29 years of age. Okay, you are lucky because I know I have a young sister. I'm the oldest. It's so different.
It's so good to be the youngest one.
I must say it's good to be the youngest one. And tell me a bit about growing up in Brazil. How was it like being the youngest family member in the family, and maybe a bit about your parents?
Okay.
Are you Christians or?
Okay. So I was born and raised Seventh-day Adventist.
Okay. Oh, you're
But
Seventh-day
yeah,
Adventist.
I always been at church,
Okay.
and I come from a traditional family.
Okay.
So we actually follow the rules, and we always been doing them. And we come from a small community where we have a Seventh-day Adventist college, school. We grew up in the environment. So my sisters, they are 12 years older than me and 18 years older than me. So we have a big gap. So they grew up in a boarding school, a Seventh-day Adventist boarding school. So we weren't grow up together.
Oh, I understand.
When
Yes.
so when they come from the boarding school, they were getting married, they were adults, and I was still very young.
So you felt like it felt more
the
like you
only
were the
child.
only child.
Exactly.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So it was pretty much that. And I come from a single mom family.
Oh, you were from a single mom family?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
and
we
how
just
was that growing up in a single mom's family, if I can ask? And also, was your father there at a certain time and then he left, or he was not even there when you were born? How what was it like?
Yeah, so what I know, since I was born, he wasn't there.
Okay.
So I never had a contact with him at all.
Okay.
I know he passed away a few years back.
Okay.
but we were never in touch. My sisters, they grew up with him, but I didn't.
Okay, but you did
So
not.
I never have a male figure around.
At all. And how do you think that could have impacted you as you were growing up, not
Um,
having a male figure? Is
now,
there anything you can?
yeah, like now that I have kids myself
Yeah.
and they have a father, I
Okay.
see the difference.
You see the
I see-
difference, yeah, exactly.
I see the man could have put more boundaries,
Exactly.
and I didn't have that much. Even though we always follow the rules and things like that, would be easy. Like I think I started relationships very early.
Okay.
When I was 12 years old, I was already dating, and I think
You were
was just
looking
trying.
for that
Yeah,
father,
exactly.
okay, that male attention. You know what a father gives to a boy.
Exactly. So I think that it
Understand.
wasn't a good thing.
Okay.
That's how I see it.
Ah, definitely. At least to our viewers, we can also see, it's wonderful hearing from a child that has been born into a home where their fathers are not present, that it really impacts. And we just really want to encourage all fathers to try and stand up and let's be there for our daughters so that we can help raise them to be, their best version. Because really, a father being in a home is very important. We can see that God, when He created or made men and women to be there, both father and mother have a role to play in their children's life. So now we'll go right into your story. What story or testimony do you have to share today about Christ's redemptive power?
So I was thinking about it, and I was trying to think. I was saying, I was born and raised in the church, so I have nothing really to say. But then, I think everybody has a moment where you actually connect with God, even though you were born in church. There is a day or a time where something happens that you actually connect with God. So what happened to me is that I came to Ireland 6 years ago.
Okay.
And
so 6 years ago, which year was this?
2018.
2018.
Yeah.
All right.
And I came in January, and was a plan to stay 8 months as an exchange student.
Okay.
So that was the plan. I came with the money for that period, and after that I went back home because I finished college in 2017 in December.
Okay.
And then in January.
When you finished college, just to give our viewers a bit of understanding. So you finished college in 2017. That this was back in Brazil.
Back in Brazil.
And then you moved to Ireland in 2018 after finishing. Okay.
Yeah,
fine.
I went to law school in Brazil.
Okay.
And I finished that. So I need to learn English because we speak Portuguese.
Of course. Definitely.
Yeah, it was very important to learn English for the business, to get a better job. So I came.
That's very true.
Yeah.
Yes,
So I came here, and I felt like I was free because there was no parents, there was no rules.
Can you say your mother was strict, or what kind of a mother was she?
So my mom was very good. I have nothing to say. Like we're very close. We talked a lot, but she was a girl. So we didn't have a man to say anything. So I didn't know. I was always the kind child, and I still am the kind of adult that likes to follow rules.
That's very important.
So
yes.
Yeah. So every time my mom say you can't do drugs, I say okay. If you say I won't do drugs, that's so easy.
You were an obedient child.
I always thought I was
a model child. Okay.
So I always thought that way. So my mom said you can't party. I said okay, so I don't party. You can't. So I always been like that. And when I came here, I didn't have nobody to say that. So I was kind of lost and free.
Okay. But sorry, Ray, just to ask, that moment when you were in Ireland, but then you felt free. Did you not at any moment remember the words of your mother? Sometimes there are times when you try our mother's words or our parents' words. They're very important because there are times even at home when I don't feel like washing dishes and just going to bed. But when I remember that my mother was strict, she did not accept it. I quickly washed them up because it's nearly like your voice was ringing. How was it like now when you found yourself in Ireland all by yourself? What was it like, without your mother to tell you don't party and all that?
It's so I did felt free, but then I wanted to try everything I never tried before. So I went partying, I went to nightclubs, and I was living with 23 people in the house.
Okay.
So everybody comes from different backgrounds, and they were all drinking and doing those stuff. And I was there, and then I say I have to try. But then I was like, I was also thinking, but I'm just trying because in 8 months I go back home and
Okay.
I'm back to normal life. I'm just trying, so I can say I did it. I know.
And just so I can ask you, when you were trying all this lifestyle of partying, as you're saying, was it because someone asked you to, or you just felt the need to, really embrace your freedom?
Yeah, it was
Yes,
just
yeah, okay.
out of curiosity.
Or you
I
were
just want to
curious?
know what is
Okay,
that.
okay.
Why people like that so much? It was so fun, and it was nice for
And how
few
did you
times.
feel when you were out partying?
Yeah, it was good for a few
Okay.
times, but it wasn't me. I don't
Okay.
like that. I just didn't like it.
So kind of you were at war. At one moment you love it, but then
Yeah,
it
it's just,
constantly
I don't like
tug
it. I'd
of
rather
war,
go to
yeah.
the shopping and just hang out with friends, stay at
Okay.
home. That's my style.
Okay.
Just wasn't for me. I know some people may have this freedom and they just go crazy and ended up losing
Of
the
course.
way back. But
Okay.
wasn't me. Luckily, wasn't me.
Alright.
So yeah, and I was there for a few months, and then I met Joe, my husband.
In the 8 months.
No, I met Joe in my first mountain island.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
It was a
And
very
maybe just for the purpose of our viewers, who is Joe? Or maybe do you want to tell us a bit later in the story? Okay, you met Joe, okay.
Joe is Joseph Moonley. It's my
Okay.
husband now.
Okay, Joe is your husband now. Okay,
He's my
maybe,
husband.
yeah, okay.
But it back in the days was just a guy that I met in Puff. Puff is the app called Plant of Fish.
Oh, plentyoffish.com.
It's like a
I've heard of
Tinder.
them. Okay. Oh, you met Joe on plentyoffish.com.
Oh my god.
What is it that
oh my god.
What about Joe? What is it about Joe that attracted you in that man to go for him, or maybe for him to come for you?
So I came with no English.
Okay.
So all the girls were saying you download Tinder and Puff so you can talk with Irish people.
Oh,
and then you improve your English.
Oh, that's important.
Yeah.
Obviously, if you're trying to learn English, you
You're
have to spend
talking.
time among English speaking people.
Exactly.
Yeah,
So that's what I done.
Yeah.
But I went a little too far. So
Alright, okay.
I gave match with him and some other guys. I went out with some guys. And with Joe, he wasn't living Dublin. I was in Dublin.
Okay.
And then he comes and goes every 2 weeks or something like this. And so
were you friends at this time, or because
we
you
were
just met him?
talking.
Were you friends, or were you dating?
we were talking every day,
Okay.
but that's all. We
Okay.
were
Or
just talking.
friends. Okay.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Yes.
Alright.
And then, so we met in January. No, in February. I came in January. We met in February. And then April is our birthday. It's my birthday and his birthday.
Okay.
And
we share the same birthday.
yes, we share the same month.
Okay.
And I had a party in my house
Yeah.
with just the people that live there.
Okay.
And then Joe went there too.
Okay.
So we were there, and then we decided to actually have a relationship and name it. So we started a relationship.
Okay.
Yes. So that's, and then just cutting the story short. In July, I was still here, and I was working as an au pair.
Okay.
So I was babysitting and living in the house of the family.
Okay.
And it was very hard. I was working every day. I wasn't going to church. I was just working, and that wasn't making money because the pay is not so good.
So you had left that place where you're living with your
Yes.
23 housemates, and then you were now working
Okay.
here. Okay.
Yes.
But do you think did that help with the partying, or did you
Yeah.
kind of reduce a bit?
I reduced the party because I always been needy. I can say I am needy, a needy person. Because I didn't have father, so I always dated. Yeah. So I always dated. When I came here, I was single. Then I met Joe. And then I stopped everything. We're just together. Then I didn't have the need of partying. I
Okay.
had a friend and a
You had
relationship.
someone, yeah, of
Exactly.
course. But well, we
But
are
that was
made for companionship, isn't it? Yeah, we
exactly.
are
And
social
I was
beings.
fine with that.
Yes, we are.
And then I was an au pair and it was very hard for me.
Yeah.
Then I decided I was going back home. I wasn't going to finish the 8 months.
Okay.
And some, I'd never done a pregnancy test, but somehow or something, I don't know, I just felt, why it's so hard? It's not possible it being that hard just for me. And then I said, maybe I'm pregnant. And then I went to buy the test, and I done the test, and I was pregnant.
Okay.
And I was pregnant from Joe. Uh, I didn't have much of English yet because I was here 6 months.
Oh, I understand.
And I just knew Joe for 5 months. And I was pregnant. And I felt.
And how did Joe take it when you found out that you were
First,
pregnant?
first I didn't want to have the child because I come from traditional family.
I understand.
So I have being
and
a
being
single
a
mom.
Christian as
Yes,
well, that's
that was out of the option. And Joe, he was young. He's younger than me, so he was very young. He was 21 when I told him, and he was in college. He was living his life free.
Of course.
And then I went there and I said, look, I'm pregnant. So I'm not keeping that child. There's no way. If I tell my mom would kill me.
Of course. Yeah.
That's not an option. But in 2018, we couldn't do abortion in Ireland. It was just 2019 that came illegal. So I had to go to England to do that.
Oh, and so, did you travel to England when abortion?
I didn't because Joe's mom paid everything, and she says it's okay if you want to do the abortion, I can pay for everything. But I also knew that was wrong.
Exactly.
I knew it was. I knew we can't do this stuff. I knew it was wrong. And that was my first leap of faith because I knew my mom was gonna kill me, and back home wouldn't be an option because back in Brazil we don't have that much money, so it would be hard to come back as a single mother with no money, no nothing. So I had to stay, and I knew I don't want to be a single mom.
Exactly, yeah.
And Joe comes from a single mom too, so he also have this trauma.
Of course,
yeah.
Definitely. No, I understand. Definitely.
Yeah. So I told him I was pregnant, and he said, "No, we can keep the child. It's okay. I'm gonna work. I'm gonna quit college, and we're gonna make it." Okay. And I said, "I don't have where to go back because I can't go back home, and I don't have nothing else to do because I don't want to do the abortion. So okay." If it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I have to believe in what you're saying. And I did believe in him, and that's what he done. He took me to his house, and I went through the pregnancy. I had to renew visas because I was exchange student. And so all the money I had was out the window, paying for visas and things like that because I was afraid to stay illegal. Of course, no. I was afraid to be deported or something. It's more problems, more problems. Of course. So that's what I done. So I was pregnant on my first year here, and I.
And also, just to cut you in there, how did it feel as a young Christian woman that was raised to, to wait before, get married first and then get pregnant? How did you feel during this time when this was happening?
So, that was 6 years ago, but we just got married 3 years ago. Okay. So for 3 years we were together, and we had a child, we were living together, but we weren't married. Okay. I don't know if people know, but Irish people, they don't really feel the need of getting married.
I know it feels, I don't know whether to call it the culture, but yes. I think I find in Ireland there's a culture whereby people really want to know somebody very well before they decide on marriage. Yes. I think, which can be said, it's important. I think it's good to also get to know someone before you marry them rather than. Yeah. But I didn't have this time because I was pregnant. Of course, and, I understand. I really want to get married because I keep saying, so things are not working in our life because we're doing wrong. Of
We
course,
know we
yeah.
are
You're
here.
living in sin at the time.
Exactly. So we
Okay.
have to get things straight. And then 3 years later, we did got married.
Okay.
But
Alright.
during all this time, I was always thinking, what would happen
Mm.
if he leaves me? Like we're not married, and I am here on my own with no jobs, no nothing, and I was just. That's when I go back to church
Okay.
because I didn't have anyone else because all my friends were still exchanged students, partying, living the life.
And so, just to cut in there, I know you said you were partying. Were you also drinking or smoking? Did you try any of that as well?
No, so
During this time?
back in Brazil, my mom always saying that if I try drugs, I'm gonna turn addicted on the same second.
Okay.
That's her way to scare me out of drugs.
Okay.
And I know it's not true. I know that's not how we become addicted. But they also stay on the back of my head.
Okay.
So I was always afraid to go too far.
Alright.
So I go partying and I try alcohol.
Okay.
But I don't do drugs.
Okay,
Because
what about just cigarettes? No smoking,
no.
Okay, so just
No.
okay, just drinking, alcohol.
Drinking.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you find you were in control? You know, sometimes going out and drinking, were you in control, or did you go all the way as somebody that had grown up in a background that was conservative, and also that you couldn't just drink?
No, well, because I come from where I come, I think I done too much.
Okay.
But when I tell people from the outside, they
Okay.
say, that's not much.
Okay.
You just drink it, that's okay. You just party, that's okay. But where I come from,
for you,
that's a lot.
Yes,
that's a lot. I actually did try vape.
Oh, you did try the vapes then?
Yeah, because vape
they vapes then since 2018?
Yes.
Okay.
There was
Well, I
vapes.
have no idea.
There was vapes here.
All right.
But
And what was the experience like?
It was horrible.
It was
horrible. I didn't like none of those stuff. I still hate all vapes and cigarettes.
Okay.
But in Brazil, we didn't have that common,
Of course,
so I
yes,
didn't know vape very well.
Of
I wanted
course,
to try, but that's not my thing.
Okay. And coming back to the pregnancy, I understand at some stage the baby was born. How did your mother back in Brazil take this? You know, the 3 years you are talking about before you finally got married. What was it like when your mother found out?
So first, my mom didn't want me to come to Ireland.
Okay.
So she wanted. I was the youngest one. I just finished college. So she thought I would stay with her, and
Of course, mothers don't want to let go of their youngest child.
Yes.
I
So she was against it. But once I was here, we always been close. So I was calling her every day. And then when I found out I was pregnant, I stopped calling her because I didn't know how to lie. I can't just say things are great and I'm pregnant. So I stopped calling her.
For how long did you stop
So
calling her?
I found out in July, and I told her in October.
And I was pregnant. Did she take it?
And then, so I just called, I wrote a letter from my friend. And then my friend went to my mom's house because my mom is old. I was afraid she had a heart attack.
Oh,
and then my friend gave her a letter. And then my mom, she didn't have words. And then we have some friends that help her that say, a child is always a bless. Doesn't matter what.
Exactly. A child is a blessing.
Yeah. But I don't know if it doesn't matter what. Because if it wasn't with Joe, if I got pregnant of somebody else crazy, that
it would have turned out.
Yes, it would. I don't know if I would be able to raise my kids in church like I do now.
Of course.
Because some people are just totally against the church.
Exactly.
But then my friend told my mom, and then I wrote a letter for my sister too, because one of my sisters is a pastor's wife.
Okay.
So it's a very traditional.
And also, so how did your mom and your sisters, take this when they found out that you were pregnant? How did they feel?
So I have one sister that is a pastor's wife.
Okay.
She she didn't talk well.
Take it well.
She
I
didn't
can
talk well.
imagine just because of the values that you were
Yes,
raised with, growing up as a young
exactly.
Adventist and a Christian as well, not to forget.
Exactly.
Mm.
My mom also didn't take well. But surprisingly, I have a middle sister that she's at the moment she's not really in church.
Okay.
She comes and goes,
Okay.
and she talks well.
She took it well. I
Yes,
think which is important, sometimes when you've made a mistake, I know I'm not encouraging that it's good to, I would really encourage most young people to, to get married and then have children because
yeah,
it's important. We need to honor God. But I think when we have made those mistakes, because we are human beings that are imperfect, it's also nice to have someone
yeah,
to support you and encourage you that it's not the end of the world and to to help you to find your way back.
exactly,
Okay,
exactly.
and she was supportive.
Yeah, she did support, but I was ashamed of myself. So I
Okay.
wasn't supporting myself either. So I just stopped talking with everyone. So my mom called me and she said, I don't believe you done that. And I said, okay. And I hung up and I didn't spoke with her. Because I was ashamed already. I didn't need somebody else to be ashamed because I knew what's wrong. So in October, we called each other back and then things, we made amends
Okay.
and things back
And
to normal.
also, did you apologize to your mother for?
Yes, she did. I did.
Okay.
We're
Oh,
both
that's
wrong.
okay.
We're both out of line.
Of course.
Because I felt I was pregnant as a teenager, but I wasn't.
Okay.
I was 23. I
You were
already finished
23.
college.
Okay.
I wasn't like just a teenager. I was an adult.
You were an adult,
Yes.
exactly. And you had kept yourself, I think maybe your mother also would have been thinking if you had stayed in Brazil, you might
Yeah.
probably have
Wouldn't
not found
happen.
yourself in this place because you had kept yourself right up to the time you moved
Yeah.
here into Ireland. That freedom, okay. Yeah.
And I think my mom was afraid of me ended up a single mom as herself.
I can
Because
imagine that's the
it's
fear of
not
every
easy.
single. Yeah, it's not
Yes.
easy.
It's not easy and it's not the dream. Nobody dreams to be a single mom.
I know. I grew up in a single family myself, and being the eldest, and I was the eldest daughter. I know it wasn't easy on my mother. Yeah, it was hard, and it was also hard. So when you share your story, I see a lot of we have a lot of similar stories. I'm sure one day I too will share my story. We have a lot of similarities there, just growing up in a single home and also, having a child young. And I've also experienced that, just getting into relationships because you need somebody, because
Yeah.
it feels, if you grow in a single home, there's always that void that wants a man's love. And then there's a fine line because if you meet the wrong man, they can, be really
Yeah.
they can use you, but then you hope that God will, give you a good man
Yeah.
to fill that void. Yeah, okay.
Yeah. But that's how the woman make a mistake because chances are you're not gonna meet the right guy.
Of course.
Because you are looking on the wrong direction in the wrong places and for the wrong reasons.
For the wrong reasons, exactly.
Yeah. But luckily here we are.
Here you are. Okay, so then you stayed with Joe, and then eventually Joe agrees to get married to you, and then we left it where you were going back to church now.
Yeah.
So tell me about your experience returning back to church. What motivated you to return? Maybe we'll say returning to church, but most importantly, you returned to Christ. You returned back to God. So tell me about that experience. At what moment did you feel the need to return to church, and how was your experience when you went back into church?
So, in 2019, Julia born, and when we decided to keep Julia, I just asked two things that back on the days, and it still is very important for me. So I knew she needed to be Seventh Adventist, and so everybody had to be, because when I was young, I heard somebody telling me, if the mom is Christian, maybe the child is Christian. But if the father is Christian, the child will be Christian for sure, because the father is the leader.
Of course.
I know some case that doesn't happen, but I had this in my mind since I born. So that's what I asked him. So I say, now we have to be Christian, we have to be Seventh Adventist. doesn't matter. I'm not leaving that church. You can tell me that Catholic Church is the right one or any other. We're not leaving that. That's the church I grew up. We have to be that. And then he said, okay, we're going for that.
Oh, that's good.
And but he didn't have a clue what was that
Okay.
church about. He just
Okay.
agreed.
So I think it's also wonderful sometimes when we've made mistakes, especially like you're saying you had a child, but having that child helped you to realize the importance of the values, the atmosphere you grew up in being a Christian girl, and you wanted that for your child. So I've read a verse, I know there's a verse, I'm not sure the exact place, but it says that God can use whatever that was meant for evil to bring good out
Yeah.
of it. And I can really see here that when the enemy maybe thought it was over, you had a baby out of wedlock, but something changed. God changed through that child, you returned back to him. So I think that's
Yeah.
really important even for our viewers to note that no
Yeah,
matter
I
where,
also believe.
how far we're gone, God will always bring us back to
Yeah,
Him.
I also believe in that because I live with that.
Okay.
And so the second thing I asked Joe, it was that I need to raise vegetarian kids because I'm vegetarian myself.
Okay.
And Joe was, he calls himself a free spirit,
Okay.
which is somebody who lives the life the way he please. There's no rules for Joe.
Okay.
If he sees the red lights, he just drives through
Right
because
through it.
there's no rules for Joe. And
Okay.
I am a rule follower. So
Okay.
I say you need to be Seventh-day so you have to cut the pork, and my kids need to be vegetarian. And he say, okay, so we're going with those two, and we keep the child, and here we go. There was no plan, no nothing, and God make work because when Julia was 2 months old, we were living with his family, and then I went to Brazil because we need a place to live, but we're still living with his mom.
Of course.
So I went to Brazil, and then Joe stayed here looking for a house, which is very hard in Ireland to find a
Of
place.
course, it's been very difficult
Yes,
lately.
and we were in Dublin, we couldn't afford anything,
Oh,
we
yes.
didn't know where to go, and then I went back home to Brazil with a 2 months old for the first time. And then I faced my mom,
Okay.
I faced my friends.
And how was that experience?
So it was.
And also, just whilst you're on that experience, did you return back to church when you were in Brazil or here in Ireland? Just to clarify.
I returned 100% back when I came from Brazil, and then we moved to New Ross.
Okay, that's when you returned back.
Yes,
Okay,
because that's when we found water for church.
Okay.
And we didn't have car or anything, so we are relying on buses. But then we find the water for church, and we started attending them, and we are there since then.
Okay, so tell me again, we'll go back a bit to your experience in Brazil. How was it like facing your mother, your family, your siblings, and also even the church family you knew? Because you were going back to a familiar place where people know about you, and they knew that you had left 8 months, and this is how you returned. How was that like?
So because I wasn't single, I was with Joe.
Okay.
I felt.
Oh, you went back. Joe came back with you that
Joe
time.
stayed here, but I wasn't single because we were together.
Of course you were
But he was
together.
here.
Okay, right.
So I didn't feel that bad or that shame because I was afraid to be a single mom. Because I know people can say it's okay, it happens, but it is hard. It is hard.
Yes, because
on you and on the
you
kids.
experienced it and you saw it firsthand, so I understand.
Yeah. So I didn't want that. So when I got back in Brazil and I could tell people, look, I'm not alone. I have someone. Make me feel better. Make me feel like I didn't waste my life.
Of course.
I can still make it.
Okay. But sometimes, there could be other people that are still holding. Some people, even if you're still with the man, but they are, they'll still be holding on to, oh, she had a baby before, she got married. So did you not have that experience, or everyone had moved on? Okay, that's really good that they've moved on.
Because where I come from, the biggest worry was to be a single mom. Was to be alone.
That was okay. So thankfully it didn't happen.
Yeah, so when everybody say, oh, you had a child, Where's the father? That was the first question. It's not if you have money, where you live, where is the father? Do you have a father for that child?
Exactly.
And I did have a father for that.
Oh, that's
So,
important. Yeah.
and also I had just finished college, so if anything happened, I could restart because I had just finished college. I could start a career because you see.
Because you had a child, exactly. That's
Yeah.
a big responsibility.
Yes.
And thankfully, you had a man to share with.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't that bad, and I had support. I also Brazil. It is a great country, but the money it is not so
The
good.
value of the currency is not
Yes,
very strong.
the currency is not good. So I had euro from Joe, and I went to Brazil. So he gave me Brazil a life that I never had before because I came from a simple family. So I was okay. So it was like a vacation. And what everybody from the outside who didn't know the story was thinking she went to Ireland. She took advantage. Exactly. She took advantage. She took advantage of Irish man. She got a passport. She got a visa because we didn't have visa.
I know it. That
And
would
now
be the
she's
same
living
in
the
my
dream.
country.
See, that's what people thought.
Exactly. Yeah.
And even his family thought the same. Take advantage of the poor boy.
Oh, I understand. Yeah.
And-
So it's different in Brazil. They are thinking you have a rich husband. He's giving you everything, and then back here in
yeah, I don't dare say took advantage of the poor boy.
Okay, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, that's how it goes. So I came back to Ireland. We started to attend Waterford Church. We made friends there, and those people helped us to move to Waterford City.
Okay.
And Joe started to go to church every Saturday with me.
Praise God for that. Yeah.
And that was a miracle because when I tell people I just met Joe, I met the guy Paul, you wouldn't believe it's gonna last. But he actually go, of course we have our problems. He has his problems from before church and growing up the way he grew up.
Of course.
But he goes church and that's so important for me.
It's important
because okay, and people say you don't need to go to church, you can just read the Bible at home. But it's so different when you go every Saturday.
Exactly. Maybe if you, what's it like in your church environment? You know, just to speak more, there are other people that are not Christians. You know, what does it feel like going to church? Because people don't always understand. They think church is just a lot of rules. You know, life is boring there. But maybe talk a bit about the church experience. You know, what it's like for you.
So. We have a church in Waterford that's different than the church in Brazil. In Brazil, we had pathfinders, adventures, camps, and it was a very busy life for the youth. So that's how I grew up. Unfortunately, my kids don't grow up in the same environment because here in Ireland, the church is small and still growing, and there are people from everywhere. But it's still, sorry.
But you find that being in a smaller church, you feel more close, you are more like a family,
Yeah,
isn't it? Everyone knows each other.
Yeah, everyone knows each other.
And you are there for one another.
Yeah. Like yesterday we were invited to a party from a friend from the church. And in Brazil it don't happen because it's so many people, it's big church, and here you know each other. We have a car problem, we call that friend from church. The church is everything because we don't have
a
friends.
family here, at least, you know, having left your family in Brazil, I know you have your in-laws, but sometimes friends or the church community, they become the family that we, you know, would get for ourselves so that God brings our way. Okay, so it's really wonderful, you know, just hearing that story, coming back into the church that you found another, you know, a new family, a newfound family in Ireland. And I think one thing I want to thank God that I really want to pinpoint here is that I thank God that in your experience it turned everything for good, because the most important thing, you found a husband that was willing to walk the way with you, convert and change with you. You didn't have to return to church by yourself. You could have had a man that would say, okay, you go to church. But that's wonderful that even that experience of singleness or being a single mom, you did not experience it, because it's hard on a lot of women. Of course, I understand. I'm not saying it's bad if people are single, because our
Yeah.
circumstances are different.
Yes.
But I thank God that you found a man that was responsible enough to raise your children with you and worship God with you. Those are, I think it's very important to
Yeah.
find that blessing. So we thank God for what He's doing in your life. Maybe you tell us more. Maybe if you have anything to share to young people that have been raised in single homes, and you can also speak to young people. I know there are young people living in Africa, different places, or Brazil, coming into Ireland, that would have been raised with a different set of values, because we are Christian, and this is a Christian podcast, and we really do uphold God's laws and His expectation, because we know that in everything that God has prescribed in His Word, it's protective, isn't it? And like today, at least we're here sitting talking about you made a mistake, but God still found you and He made a way for you in that. So we are thankful for Him. But even if you have some words to share with these groups of people, young people moving into Ireland, young people wandering away from God, that is their hope when we have lost our way.
So, for the people that comes from a single mom's family, usually there are two kinds of people. The ones that are totally against the man, they don't want to see men because the man broke the mom's heart. So they're just, I want to be single forever, I want to travel the world. For those ones, there are still good men out there.
Of course,
Doesn't
they're good
matter.
men, exactly.
Your mom's story, it's your mom's story. It's not yours. You can break the
Exactly.
cycle. That is important. You have to break that.
Wow, that's wonderful, because I hear a lot. There's a lot of talk about breaking the generational cycles, but for you, can I just also ask? Maybe I'll go back. When you met Joe, did you have to pray for him too? Was he always this kind of man, or you prayed, or you prayed for him to become this responsible person?
So because I was far away from God, I wasn't literally praying. I was always telling God, you have to do something, because I'm gonna kill myself because I'm not making through the single motherhood. Because that's such a deep trauma for me. And that was what I was telling God back then, because I wasn't that close to
this
pray.
is what you were telling God, that
Yes,
you don't want that experience of singleness. No, I
I
just want to clarify so that people don't think you were telling Joe,
No.
marry me or
No,
okay,
I was telling God
okay, you
that
were talking
you
with
have
your creator, okay,
Yes,
that's you and
I
God.
was telling
Okay.
God because I didn't,
Of course.
I didn't think it would be possible for Joe ever be where he is now, because Joe comes from Irish culture, which is totally different.
Of course, different cultures, different values that you are
Exactly, so I never thought it would be possible. So I was always telling God, I'm not making. No, you will do something because I'm not making. And he done it. Slowly but surely he did.
Amen. The power of prayer. Thank you as well for highlighting that. I think it's important. Sometimes we think when we've made mistakes, we're too far gone. But we can, he says, come to me and let us reason together. Though your sins, he's ready to. As red as scarlet, he'll do something. So thank you for bringing that up, because it's very important to remember that we can return to God and we can continue to pray with Him, and He can redirect our paths.
Because I always think it is God. You don't have to actually kneel down and pray. You just talk the way you can. Because I couldn't pray. I couldn't kneel down and pray back then because I was lost. So the only I believed in God. I knew He was out there. So my only way was just shouting and crying all night with God, saying you have to do something, and He done it, and He heard my praise, my cries, and now you're here.
Amen.
And
thank God for that.
And
so you continue the advice for those people that have given up on men or from single moms. Yeah.
The others that comes from single moms, they're like me, looking for a man, doesn't matter what. For those ones, I know it's hard because I was there. but you do have to pray because you know what you need. I knew that I couldn't be single because I was born to be married. That's what I like to do. I like to be a housewife. I like to have kids. I like so I
So you
didn't
knew
know.
earlier on that this is what you want. I think it's important what you're saying, that really we should go to God and tell Him exactly what you want.
Yes,
Because there's no point in, some people will be saying, I know men are bad, they are this, but
Yeah.
they are not telling Him that, God, this is what I want. I want a husband, I want a home. So
exactly.
if what you ask from Him is faithful to give it to you, because your story is a testimony of, of God, what He can do for you. Okay.
Yeah, because if you think, Joe, I was telling me this. I was a good girl and I was on path. So of course there was a good man there. Because if I am good and I can be there, that must be. And it's the same in life. If you are a good girl and you need a good man, of course there is a man out
You
there.
attract a good
Can't
man.
be all
Okay.
bad men. It's
Of
impossible.
course, that's
Somebody
true.
must be good.
That's true.
It may be harder nowadays, but there is
There's
somebody,
always
and
someone
God is
for
going to
you.
find a way for you.
Amen.
There is a
Amen.
way. There's always a way. I know
Okay.
it's hard to believe when we are needy and on our own,
Of
but
course.
there is a way. Because if you try to find your own way like I done, you're gonna pay the price, and that's what I done. I paid the price, and it is a high price, and everybody has a story.
Of course. And also, what would you say to those young people that
Yeah.
they were raised in Christian homes and they were taught? Because sometimes we think when all those boundaries are being put around us, it's for our own protection. And and then you come into a foreign country and you want to experience things that you would have never experienced before. So, what's your advice for these young people?
My advice is, I know it's hard, but you have to find the right friends because there are people who don't want party.
Okay.
All my friends, all people leaving my house, they did want party, and I didn't. But I'm sure there was somebody out there who didn't want party too. You have to find the right friends because they are out there. But because everybody's telling them they have to party, they have to do drugs, they ended up going because everybody's going. You want to fit in, so you just say yes for things that you shouldn't. You have to stand up for yourself. It is hard when you are away from home and you have all this freedom, but that's God. That's what God calls us. They call us to be the difference, not to be the same, not to be like everybody else. It is hard, but being Christian, it's not easy. It's not supposed to be easy. But you need to find your friends because sometimes you're going to be weak and you may think you should go on that path and you need somebody by your side.
And can I ask, in the 8 months when you came here, honestly speaking, was there a time you thought maybe I should look for a church? Because I think the important thing, like you're saying, it's also important to put yourself in places where you can meet people that have the same values and the same outlook on life, so you can maintain the values you're raised with. Did you try to say, I'll look for a church and I'll go to church and I'll worship?
I done that.
Okay.
When I left Brazil, I came and I started to go to the church every Saturday. But wasn't my vibe church because I didn't speak English, so I didn't understand anything they're saying. And then I found a church that speak Portuguese, but it was far away. And then I started to date Joe, and he wasn't going, and I went to be with him because I work on the weekdays. So on the weekends I went to stay with him, and that's how you ended up messing up because you found the man, you follow the man, and the man is not following the right
path. Yes,
and you were following him.
Yeah, okay.
So if you're gonna, I know people say nowadays, oh, I'm dating this guy, he's not Christian, but he's so good.
Of course.
I know he's good. But how good is him?
Exactly.
He don't follow God. At some point, when you have kids and then you decide how we're gonna raise them, is he there
to show the differences, isn't it?
You're gonna show the different points, and it's the same with me and Joe. When we had Julia, what are we gonna do? How are we gonna raise this child? He's saying we need to baptize because
Okay.
to go to
You
the
made
good
the
schools.
compromise, did you?
Yes,
Oh, that's
but
good.
he also,
Yeah.
because religion wasn't a big thing for him, so he
Okay.
said he needs to baptize Julia
Where
so
in
she
the
can be
Advent?
Catholic.
Oh, okay. And how did you feel about this at this
And I
stage?
was totally against because I'm born and raised
Of course,
Adventist.
yes, yeah. So,
But that was the first like one, and then
okay.
he was saying, if she's not Catholic, she can't go to good schools in Dublin,
Oh,
which it
okay.
is and it isn't kind of true.
Yeah, no. I
Some
think
schools
out
ask it for
for
the
really for the
baptism, yes.
baptism. But you know what I'll tell you? Like, just maybe to say a story in your story. I remember moving out here where we are living here in Wexford, and just meeting people, and when I brought my children and people were telling me, oh, your children will not be accepted in this school or that because of so many reasons, but God always makes a way. You didn't need to become a Catholic or, go to a different path that you are not used to, but God always makes a way if you are, you hold on to what you
Yeah.
believe in.
Yeah, so we didn't baptize her, and we got her a school here, a very good school. We moved out of Dublin,
Thank God.
and now we are kind of raising the kids the same way.
Which is,
We
that's
started
good.
to agree more things,
Of course.
but it's all a miracle because it's not the way Joe was born. My kids are raised totally different the way Joe grew up, for cultural reasons.
So you're now changing, you and Joe had your own upbringing, but
Yeah.
now because you decided to walk back towards God and He's now redirecting you, and you're now raising a whole different generation that has a different experience, maybe even a better experience
Yes.
than you had,
Yeah.
because now you were both in single homes, but you are together and in this walk, and Christ is with you and directing you the way
Yes,
you should go.
it is.
Yeah.
It is different to marry somebody that goes church and believe in things the same things you do, because when life gets hard, especially for me, who I'm not from Ireland, I'm an immigrant.
Okay.
Things are hard, and I am also black, which don't make easy things in
I
Ireland.
understand, yeah.
And we have a lot of problems as me being an immigrant, and I'm
Okay.
black with white kids, and I'm
Understand.
not Catholic, so I'm totally the opposite
Okay.
what Joe is.
You're
Totally.
the opposite, of course.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it is
And
important.
how do you stay strong, with all these experiences at this stage now that
So
you're the opposite of everything
yes,
around
everything
you?
they say I
How do you
should.
stay strong and get by?
So my way to be strong, it is Joe.
Okay.
Because I would never make it on. I know, I look, people when see me and Joe keep telling bossing Joe around, people don't know that he does what, he is the one who calls the shot. Because
Okay.
I go around and they say, Joe, change the kids, Joe, get me water. But he's the one who say, look, we're gonna live in this house. We're gonna work that way. That's how the money goes. So people think I'm bossy with Joe, but he is the one who does everything. I wouldn't make without him. Because I am good in one or two things, he's good in everything. He's patient, he's nice with people. We go, we visit friends, everybody loves him. So I wouldn't make through without him. And I know he's used it. I know he's used by God because nowadays he says no to pork. He says we go church every Saturday, even when I couldn't go. He was going on his own, so I would not make without him. So I think he's my point because he's also Irish and we are living in Ireland, so it is easier. When I go, Julia goes to a gay school, so I'm the only black and I'm only foreign.
Yes, yeah.
And everybody speak Irish, and I don't speak Irish.
Exactly.
So,
but you have your husband there to support.
I always have
you in
him.
all this.
He's part, so
Yes,
I'm just by his side,
exactly.
and he does things.
It's wonderful to see what God has done. That He has not only blessed you with a husband, but a beautiful home and beautiful children, and also that you're really also, you and your husband, who's from a different background, a different faith, but he's walking with you in the same direction, and you're coming to church together, and you're sharing the same faith. I This is a wonderful testimony, Ray, and thank you so much for coming in and sharing this testimony, because you're a young woman and there are a lot of young people that are out there that have made mistakes. They know that they can know that God is in the business of redeeming, isn't it? Is in the business of restoration. And I can also tell from your story that God doesn't even want the pain that our parents could have gone through. When we go to Him and earnestly seek Him, He's happy to help us to not live our life and experience some of the painful moments or the things that our parents experienced. This in the day, you can see you're starting a whole different generation with different experiences because of what God did, how He worked through your husband, and how He's worked in your marriage, and even He's worked also through the church community. So a big shout out to the church community in Waterford SDA Church. Thank you so much for being there for Ray and for encouraging her. Any last final words? And maybe you would give us a closing prayer, just that God will bless your testimony and it will empower, and encourage a lot of younger people and even older people, because there's also single mothers watching this. So, and fathers too that might not want to be responsible. Maybe it can encourage some men to understand the importance of being there for your children and raising them right. Yeah.
Okay, so first for the men, everything is your responsibility. I know we say the child belongs to the mom, but the mom belongs to the father. So that's why I keep joking with Joe saying, if you leave me, I'm taking all my kids. And he say, and I'm taking you, so we're not going anywhere. Because and then every time we have financial difficulties or a problem with car problems, I don't know, we always go to him because I don't know what to do. So for the men, it's all on you. It is God made you strong physically, mentally, because it's all on you. You are carrying this family. It's on you now. That's why you need to be close to God.
Of course. So you're encouraging the men to be responsible, to be providers, to be protectors of their family. That's very important. Okay.
And for the girls, girls, you have to be what you want to have. That's what I would say. So you want to have a Christian man, you have to be Christian girl. If you want to have a strong man, you have to be strong girl. I know the people say the girls are capable to do everything, but you don't have to. You don't have to go out there and work 9 to 5 and come home, wash the dishes and have kids and no. Be a dedicated and a nice and sweet girl. There's a man out there. Exactly. And there's the right man. Exactly.
So you are encouraging young women to take on your role as women. Don't try to, to do it all to become a man and a woman. Because we're made women for a specific reason, and also that we can ask God to, to help us to find the right people. But also, as you said, it's important, be the right woman so that the right man can find you.
I think it's in Proverbs, I think, that God describes the woman. The woman should be sweet, the woman should be delicate, should wake early, should...
The Proverbs 31 woman.
That's the woman we should be.
Of course.
In nowadays, they say you don't have to, you can open your own door, you can pay your own bills. You can, you don't need to. Calm down, relax, because there is a man praying to find a girl like you. There is a man out there praying to find a sweet, nice girl that just wants to take care of the family or just want to work with him. There is, so just be yourself and calm down. Go to God. Relax. There is a man out there looking for you.
So ladies, I hope you've all heard it from Ray. Let's pray to God and ask Him to help us become the right women, and then also pray that He can help us to find the right man. There is nobody that is too far gone. Christ, who is in the business of restoring us, and let us all turn back to Him. So now Ray will give us our closing prayer, as we close off this podcast now.
Okay,
Please
so
lead
let's
us
pray.
in prayer.
Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we are here today. We are here just to worship you, just to share your name to the world, just to tell the girls, the men, or the boys, tell the world that you are here to save us. You are the Father. You want the best for all of us. You don't want us to suffer. You don't want us to cry, and you know what's the best. So calm our hearts, calm ourselves so we can listen to you and know what is right. Help us to follow the right path, to open our Bibles and listen to your voice every day. That's what we are asking you today. Amen.
Amen. It's all right. Thank you once again from us here at
Thank
Broken
you.
by Hill
It was
for
very
coming
nice.
in to share your testimony. God bless you, and may He continue to bless your home and your marriage and your children.
Thank you. It was very nice to be here. I
Yeah.
hope I shared
It
something
was nice
interesting.
to, oh no, we really enjoyed it. It was lovely. It's always a pleasure to hear testimonies and see what God is doing in the lives of different people.
Thank
you
you.
again.
Very good.